Hello everyone, welcome to episode 3 of Book Series Bingo. So this is my series that I'm doing like a lot of people are doing, where I'm trying to read through all the series that I have started, and I am gamifying it by trying to black out this bingo board by the end of 2025, which sounded doable when I said it initially in episode 1, and now I'm doubting my abilities a little bit. But before we get going with what I am going to be reading to start off this vlog, we need to do a little bit of housekeeping talking about my bingo board. So here she is in all her glory, and we do have some things to change. First of all, I have, since the last episode, read Witness for the Dead, so we are going to mark that as read. And you may be thinking to yourself, I'm pretty sure that's the first book in a trilogy. And yes, technically you are correct, it is the first book in a trilogy. However, because this trilogy is a spin-off from the Goblin Emperor, I counted it as continuing, because while you don't necessarily need to have read the Goblin Emperor to read Witness for the Dead, I just kind of lumped them together in my brain. And I have since read The Witness for the Dead. Don't ask me how it went. Don't ask me how I feel about the fact that I have the whole trilogy on my shelves and I have to decide if I'm DNFing the series or if I'm going to continue on it. It's complicated. I haven't figured it out yet. But I did read The Witness for the Dead. Now, the second thing we have to talk about is that I have DNF'd A Day of Fallen Night. It was in my TBR jar. I pulled it. I got 50 pages in and I decided I am no longer interested in this world. So yeah, but you know what? That's what this series is for. And because I have now DNF'd Day of Fallen Night, we get to swap it out, which means we get to spin the wheel to see what is going to go in its place instead. Okay, so here is my wheel of all the books, not all the books. I'm trying to keep a running list in my notes app of books that I could swap in, and this is kind of what I have so far. It is nowhere near exhaustive, but it is something. So I'm going to shuffle this list a couple times, and then we're going to spin, and we're going to see what is going to take the place of Day of Fallen Night. Wow. I mean, I'm not mad. That is great. I love that for me. Watch me fully abandon my plans for this video now that necrobane is an option. Woo, okay. Well, that's fun. Makes me a little bit more excited about starting this video. But in the meantime, the book that I am going to kick off this episode with is one of my most highly anticipated new releases for 2025, and it is maybe actually criminal that I haven't started it yet. And not only has it been out for a couple of months, but the publisher sent me a finished copy, which is like, it was an exciting day. But I am going to pick up The Memory of the Ogisi by Moses Osei Utomi. This is book 3 and the conclusion to The Forever Desert. This is a novella series that I have been shouting about from the rooftops. It is a wildly underrated series, but I absolutely love it. I love his writing. I love this world, and I am really scared for how this book is going to go. This series aren't really interconnected standalones. You could probably technically read at least book 1 and 2 without having, you could read book 2 without having read book 1. I don't think you would get the same impact out of them, but and maybe book 2 would spoil a little bit of what happened in book 1, but just read them in order, okay? Just do that for yourself. And this one, I'm not, because these aren't direct sequels, I'm not really sure what's going to happen in this one. It says we're going to go to the city of 1,000 stories. That's a new city. We haven't done that one yet. And that it's a lush metropolis, and yet despite their prosperity, no one can remember how the city began. A people who do not learn their past cannot chart their future. Also, these books are not going to make you feel okay about the world, just FYI. He's really coming for your throat with these. So there is going to be a journey from a historian who is going to venture out into the forever desert to see if he can find the story of their city's origin. But history is a story told by the powerful, and what he uncovers beneath the sand is a power far beyond anything he could have expected, and it wants vengeance. I can't even tell you how excited I am. So we're starting with this one, and I probably will need to be more strategic in this episode, because if I don't get a bingo, I'm gonna rage quit. So I will have to think about whether I go up, because the memory of the ogisi is right in the bottom corner. I have a couple choices. I could go vertical, I could go horizontal. I don't think I'll go diagonal, because that would be 4 books. I don't know if I want to commit to that. But if I go vertical, I could read Necrobane and Our Lady of Mysterious Ailments. Ooh, so that's something to think about. Anyways, welcome to the video, and hopefully I will be back quickly, because this is such a short little book, but he also likes to hurt my feelings, and sometimes it takes me a while because I need to take breaks to emotionally recover. But yeah, let's get into it. All right, I finished the memory of the ogisi yesterday, and I've been thinking on my thoughts, and I know I didn't update you while I was reading it, but it's so short. It's just over 100 pages, and I always think I'm gonna fly through these books because, to be fair, I flew through The Lies of the Ajungo. I sat down to read it, and I could not tear my eyes away until I'd finished it. And then with The Lies of the Aleke, I read it a lot slower because the content felt so much heavier than it did in book 1. I mean, book 1 is not all fun and games either, but there is a core cast of characters whose relationship to each other is really fun in the first book. Book 2 and book 3 don't quite have that same dynamic, and so it just I need to take breaks because there's heavier content and the characters feel really isolated, and so I ended up needing to take emotional breaks. This third book was no exception to that rule. So it did take me 3 days to read a 110 page book, but let me tell you, it was one of those endings where I finished book 3, and the way the author wrapped everything up and also connected the 3 stories made me instantly want to go back and read the whole trilogy again. It is so good. His writing is so good. And there were so many quotes in the book that I just thought were really powerful and really moving. I will either try to put in screenshots of just the quotes with no context, or maybe I'll come back after I'm done telling you what I think, and I'll read those, because I just think his writing is so stunning. And like I said, I think it's criminally underrated that I don't see these books more on any type of bookish space, and especially for people who love novellas. The fact that he's never been on the shortlist for the Hugo or the Nebula, the only award, as far as I know, that any of the books have won is, I think he got an Ignite Award for the first book, or he was at least on the short list for the Ignite Awards. I can't remember. And just it's so good. And it's different than a lot of what is being put out. I really think it does stand out from the crowd of novellas that Tor puts out every year, but I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just all by myself in my little Forever Desert fan club, but I hope not, because I think they're so good. So obviously I gave it 5 stars. Now, was it a 5-star book all the way? Maybe not. I definitely think the second half is a lot stronger than the first half, or maybe we switched perspectives, and it might just be that I liked the second perspective a lot more than I liked the first one. The first one, I found myself getting a little bit more impatient with him, but I think you're supposed to. I did have multiple times reading that first part where I was like, oh, is this only going to be a 4-star? Is this not going to have the emotional impact that I wanted to have? And then I got to the second part and I was like, oh no worries about that. Because he just emotionally obliterated me, and it was great. I loved it. So yeah, I'm pretty delighted, and kind of sad though that now I am all caught up and the Forever Desert trilogy is complete. I know this author has a YA duology. I don't know if I'm going to go and read that, but I am very interested to see what he writes next, because this is just so good. It's so good. Do I know what I'm going to read next on the bingo board? No, I don't. I am still deliberating which direction I want to go. So I am going to figure that out, and I will not make you sit through me verbalizing that decision. So I will just come back later and tell you those quotes that I loved and tell you what I'm reading next. Hi vlog, no long time to see. I did kind of forget about you a little bit. I'm so sorry, but I'm back. I'm here now. My attempt to kick my caffeine addiction is failing as we get back into the school year, but it's fine. It'll be fine. I owe you a few updates. First of all, let's talk about the bingo board. Actually, no. Let's talk about those quotes I said I wanted to read you from The Memory of the Ogisi. All right, so if you feel like you need a bringing down a corrupt government that lies all the time kind of book, I mean, this series is definitely that vibe. It's very enraging, but also cathartic. That makes sense? So here's the first quote I wanted to read to you. It is a fool's quest, handed down for centuries, to be taken up by each subsequent generation of fools. Those who seek the truth have no way to find it, and those who know the truth have no way to share it. And then on the next page, there was another one that I really spoke to me in that moment. None of the settlement's residents appeared bothered that their lives were built upon a foundation of suffering, and he knew that if he spent enough time in the city of truth, then he would grow as accustomed to that suffering as he had to the stench of rotting hands. He too would soon fail to see humanity in these people. Losing sight of others' humanity was the seed from which all cruelty grew. I think even just like that's always true, but I think in the last week in the United States, last 2 weeks, that has been felt especially true. And then there's one more, and then reading time will be completed. Let the ajungo's downfall forever be their disregard for those below them. Anyways, so those are the ones that I felt were really poignant and spoke to, I think, the moment, and is like what the author is responding to in, I think, not even the United States, but just globally in government leadership at the moment. You could argue throughout history, but specifically this moment. It's so nice to have that series done, but I am kind of sad that I won't have any more, but I am looking forward to another book by that author. I just have to wait for him to write more. So I did decide, oh no, okay, and then we got an update on the board. That was my next thing. Okay, so since we last touched base on this, I have finished Faithless because I binge read that whole Fallen Gods trilogy. So that book has been read and is finished. That's not what I meant to do. So Faithless has been finished, which is great. And that, I think, is all that I have actually finished. Yes. Oh, and then of course the Memory of the Ogisi we can mark as done as well. All right, so I am now officially committing to finishing up that column, and that's going to be my first bingo. I'm not going to talk about how I've put off this project too much, and I might not black it out by the end of the year. It'll be fine. So I have already started necrobane. I was just too excited about this popping up onto the board to not start it, and I am 60-something, 76 pages into it. This pink tab is where I was supposed to be yesterday, and I did not get there, so it's where I am today. I don't even know if you can see that. So I have this much to read to get to yesterday's goal, and then I'm supposed to be here by the end of today. This is not going well, y'all. I'm doing my best, but I don't think my best is good enough in this moment. But we are picking up right where the warden left off. The warden is about Alice, who has just graduated from necromancy college, and she was the smartest in her class. She thinks she's great. She works really hard at being a necromancer. And then she is assigned to be the warden, so the guardian, for this really remote village. And she is pissed because she didn't want to go to no backcountry village. She wanted to be in a city, and she feels like it's a snub and that she's being put in her place. And then she gets there and she meets the villagers and begins to unlearn her snobbery, basically. And at the end of that book discovers this thing that is going to be coming for the village. And so in this book, she gathers her kind of girlfriend, Morena, and her bestie, who is a half-orc werebear. And then a dwarf who I can't remember his name, but he's not on the cover, but he is a member of the Royal Postal Service. Postal Service. And they journey out to try to stop this encroaching doom and protect the village. And so I really like it. It is, so far, it is very much a journey book. I love a fantasy journey, and I love this group of people Ailys has built around her. I love Ailys figuring out how to stop being a student and start to be just a human existing in the world, and how the people that she meets help her do that. I think it's hilarious that in the dedication for the warden and then for necrobane, Daniel M. Ford takes pot shots at Ailys. In the beginning of Warden, I can't remember exactly what it was, but he basically was saying to his kids, oh, I hope you are like this and this and this, like Ailys, but maybe don't swear as much as she does, because she swears a lot. And in this one, he says, I hope you're, have this character's bravery, this character's strength, this character's smarts. And then he's like, and unlike Ailys, when you are injured, I hope you rest. So Ailys is, she's a lot, but I really enjoy her, and I really enjoy this writing. I really enjoy this world. There is a sapphic relationship, but I will say in this book, there have been a couple moments where I'm like, oh yeah, this was written by a man. This is a man writing two women in a relationship. Okay, thanks for reminding me. But I'm still having a great time, so it's not enough. It's kind of, it's a sapphic relationship written by a man in very much the same way that the sapphic relationship in Django Wexler's books are sapphic relationships written by men. They're not wholly accurate, but they are still a good time. Is how I will say that. So I am excited to keep going on with this. I don't know what I'm going to do about my schedule that I gave myself. I think I'm going to just try to get to here today, and then tomorrow pick up and just try to have more momentum. I don't have the audiobook for this though, so that definitely is going to make me a slower reader. So since I decided to do this particular line for bingo, that means I am going to be reading the sequel to The Library of the Dead. Here is the situation though, is I don't remember a single gosh darn thing about The Library of the Dead other than the fact that I really liked it. So I am going to have to reread this before I read Our Lady of Mysterious Ailments, which it's not that I'm bummed. I'm excited to reread it because I remember loving it, and I feel like this series doesn't get very much praise. I think this is another one where I don't think people like the protagonist, and I really liked her. So I'm excited to dive back into this world after I finish Necrobane, but I am gonna have to reread this. But it'll be okay. It's just over 300 pages. The print is so big, and I remember it being a quick read the first time through. So this is the plan. I neglected this vlog for a while because I got distracted by other shiny projects, but I am staying with this one until it is completed before I let myself film any more vlogs. So you have now my full and undivided attention, and I will come back when I have made more progress in this one. For real this time though, I won't leave you hanging for 3 weeks like I did last time. Hopefully you can hear me okay. Taking my life in my hands with this. So with recording outside, I mean. I'm a little over 100 pages into Necrobane again. I was supposed to be finishing it today, and I'm not even to where I was supposed to be yesterday. I'm struggling a little bit. This is moving a little bit slower than book one did at 100 pages in, and this is like is it even 300 pages? It's not. We started off pretty quick where Ailys got back from the mission she was on in book one. She hurt her ankle, and so that was a big deal because they have to set out to try to prevent this undead horde from getting to the village. And so she's done something to make her ankle not severely sprained, and we don't know what, but you definitely get the sense that she did something she probably shouldn't have done, and this is definitely going to have ramifications sooner rather than later. And then they gathered up everybody, they came up with a plan, and they left, and because it's fantasy, they're walking to get where they need to go, and it's several days journey. And then they get into this valley, and they get to this man's house, and he's really cryptic and mysterious,
pretty manipulative with making them to make promises and trading things that maybe they would not do if they had another choice, but I got interrupted. But they've just been at this house for a while, and it's really, I've stalled the pace, and so I am not as into it as I was earlier, and so I'll read a chapter and then I'll be bored. So when the chapter ends, I go and I do something else. Like I get on my phone, or I find something else to do around the house, and then I have to like force myself to go back and pick it up. And then the same thing, I'll read a chapter, and then the chapter ends, and I get up and I get distracted because I'm bored, and I get up and do something else. So, and I don't have the audiobook, and I'm not gonna pay for the audiobook because it's like so expensive, and I don't have any credits right now for Libra FM. But because I switched to like every other month in an effort to save money and slow down my audiobook hoarding. So yeah, I'm gonna keep plugging along today and try to read as much as I can. And then I think tomorrow I might try and read like a chapter every hour and see how that goes, and then just chip away at it a little bit at a time throughout tomorrow. I mean, I do have to work, but I feel like if I can wake up at my normal time and then read a couple extra chapters to cover the hours that I'm at work, maybe that would be a thing I could do. I don't know. I need to feel like I'm making progress, and right now I just feel like I'm on a treadmill and like just making all this effort but not going anywhere, So I'm kind of bummed that I'm not as sucked in as I was for book one. I'm not going to do enough. I am going to keep reading it.
I am home from work. It is almost 11:30 and I am ready to lock in. I've got my iced coffee in my ghost mug. Makes me so happy. And I have a snack that I've been snacking on. Here's these like pink lady cinnamon apple chips. I don't know. They're at my grocery store. They're delicious. I love them. And then I am going to turn on a study with me with a timer. So I have that extra help focusing. It's also Fat Bear Week, and I have the live stream of the bears on. Y'all, I don't even want to think about who I'm going to be when Fat Bear Week is over. This live stream of these bears in Alaska makes me so happy. It's literally gotten me through the whole week, and I'm going to be really sad when it's over. And I have my book. So I've done what I talked about. I've read one chapter each hour that I've been awake, but I have been at work for 2 hours. So I need to play catch up. So I need to sit and I need to focus and I need to read 3 chapters without getting distracted in between the chapters. I think that's the key. I think my enjoyment of this book will help so much if I can stay with it through multiple chapters. I don't know if I could do it, but I think that's the key. I'm also going to turn on Focus Friend, and I'm going to do it on deep focus mode so I can't use my phone. My house is so cute. All right, so there's my little house. I mean, isn't it just the cutest thing? And then I found out yesterday that I can, oh, that's not what I wanted, cancel. I can unlock a living room, but I need to knit 1,000 socks. Well, not me, Beanie Bear needs to knit 1,000 socks. That's so many socks. But in the meantime, we just have one more decoration to add. So I'm going to turn this on. I'm not sure how long this Pomodoro timer I've picked is for. Oh my gosh, this one's so pretty. I did a new channel and the video quality is so good. Okay, it's 25 minutes. So I'm going to set mine for 25 minutes in deep focus mode. Okay, let's go. Let's do an update because I did some things. I read some things. I finished Necrobane. I don't think I've updated this vlog about it right now yet. I think I've just done my reading wrap up for September because hi, it's now October. I don't know why this series bingo, book series bingo, I don't know why it takes me so long to film these episodes. But yeah, I read this last month and I gave it a 3.5. It ended up being just fine. The pacing for this felt so weird. The fact that it took me so long to read a 300-page book, I think really is telling about how I wasn't as engaged with this one as with the last one. The pacing was just weird, and I felt like we've solved the problem halfway through the book, and so then the plot was done. And then we spent the rest of the book with Daniel M. Ford while he tried to figure out what the rest of the plot was, or what the plot going into the next book was going to be, which I don't love that. I don't love the problem from, I'll hold it over here so I'm not messing up the light. I don't love carrying over a conflict from book one, solving it halfway through book two, and then establishing a new conflict for book three. It just ended up feeling choppy, and like the book was like we were meandering around and didn't know what we were doing. So not my favorite. I still really like these characters. I love Alice and her relationship with Tun. Like their friendship is so lovely and wonderful, and I would read about the two of them all day long. And I'm curious where we're gonna go in book three. I'm a little worried based off of what happened at the very end. I'm a little worried that we're gonna forget about people from book two, because one of the things that happened while we were trying to figure out the plot for the rest of the book, like that didn't get resolved, and I'm worried that that's not going to be the focus based off of where I think we're going in book three. I could be wrong, entirely possible, but I am nervous going forward. I'm worried about Advocate. I don't think I'll read it anytime soon. I'm not DNFing this series. I want to finish, mostly because I do like Alice a lot. I like the writing. I think this world is fun. And then also the publisher sent me this book and the third book, so I want to finish it out. But I don't think I'm going to be rushing to pick it up like I was when I finished The Warden, where I felt like I really needed to get to necrobane. I'm not feeling that way about Advocate, which is kind of a bummer. And then just this morning, I finished my reread of The Library of the Dead by T.L. Huchu, and I'm so glad I reread this book because I remembered very little about this book. I would say this title is misleading, and this is not a good title for this book, because while the Library of the Dead does exist in this story, it's such a minor part of the story, and a lot of the complaints I've seen in reviews for this book is that the title doesn't make sense, and I would agree with that. I think it should have a different title. But that aside, this is really fun. I really like this world. Our main character is Ropa, and she is 15, and she supports her grandmother and her younger sister by ferrying messages from the dead to their loved ones. This is set in Edinburgh, and it's like a futuristic Edinburgh, so climate change has affected some things. It's a lot more dystopian, but still a fantasy. Like, I would never categorize this as a dystopian novel, but the world is not in a very good place, and Ropa and her family are scraping the bottom of the barrel to get by. And the plot for this kicks off when this ghost, what is her name? It doesn't say what her name is, but this ghost who Ropa has seen before, refuses to move on because her son, who's still alive, is missing. And so it becomes an investigation, a mystery story. And the Library of the Dead is a component of that, but it is not the main focus. I'm really interested to see where we go in book 2. I love the action in this. I love Ropa. I think she has a really distinct voice. And like most books with really distinct voices, she is either going to really work for you or not. I happen to really like her. She is very straightforward, speaks her mind. She's very compassionate, but also very no nonsense. And I really like the cast of characters that she has kind of gathered around herself throughout the course of this book. There's a lot of really great rep in this book, and there's a lot of there's a wide range of diversity, which I really love, because that sometimes in fantasy that it's getting better, but sometimes that's not all the way there. And I really like the version of Edinburgh that is in this book. Also, if you're an audiobook person, I think the audiobook narrator sells this even more. I was struggling reading it with my eyeballs, not because of the writing, but just because I'm struggling to read physically right now, like without the aid of an audiobook. And then once I listened to it on audio and I had that narrator's voice in my head, then it was much easier to read physically because I just put that narrator's voice in as Ropa's voice, and it made a world of difference. But like I said, I'm so glad I reread it. And now that I finished it, I am going to go into book 2, which is the last book for this episode and for the bingo board. It is Our Lady of Mysterious Ailments. I'm wondering, Our Lady of Mysterious Ailments is I think it's a hospital or like a sanitarium for magical people. Oh, an exclusive holistic healing and therapy clinic. Clients include aristocrats, celebrities, and the cream of Edinburgh society. So yeah, I'm hoping that plays more of a part in this book than the Library of the Dead played in the first book. But I think I'll have a fun time, whether it does or not. And I think I'm going in with good expectations, and I'm excited to see what happens to Ropa in this one. I think we're just picking up right where we left off. I think this one is also going to be a little bit of a mystery. She's investigating, looking into the history of a coma patient receiving treatment at the hospital. Ooh, does she have to go undercover? Oh, that would be very cool. Anyways, I'm excited. I will come and talk to you when I have read a little bit more of this, aka started it. Details. Does anybody else get home from work and just collapse for like an hour to emotionally, physically, mentally recover? I hope so. I hope it's not just me. I don't think it is. I'm halfway through Our Lady of Mysterious Ailments, and I did not have to reread Library of the Dead. I don't need that. It's like mystery series where the plot of each book is pretty much a standalone. And the only thing that continues so far, that has continued from book 1 into book 2, is just Ropa's situation financially, basically. And I want this girl to earn money so bad. They are so poor. And she is busting her butt to earn income to support her little sister and her grandma. And all these people are just getting in between her and her money constantly. And I just want this girl to get paid. It's all I want. I would actually say there is a mystery in here. Like there was a mystery in Library of the Dead. And the mystery is fine. The financial situation is stressing me out. And if you have ever had like a period of financial instability in your life and you still have anxiety around financial stability, I would maybe not read this series because it is really hard for me to read and not get super stressed out. So that is a struggle. But yeah, this one's pretty straightforward. Ropa is trying to learn magic and be an intern at the School of the Dead, which was supposed to be paid. And then this bitch, like, not Ropa, I wouldn't call Ropa a bitch, never. But this other bitch was like, no, your magic's not good enough, so you have to do like the unpaid internship. And unpaid internships, that is my soapbox that I will rant about forever. Unpaid internships make me so mad, especially when it's people like who need to be earning money. Having unpaid internships is insane. Anyways, what was I saying? Oh, this is fine. Ropa's friend Priya, who works as a doctor at Our Lady of Mysterious Ailments, asks Ropa to come on and try to figure out what happened to this boy who's there and he's in a coma. And so Ropa is going around the city, going around Edinburgh, trying to figure out like what he was into that got him in the situation he's in. And it's fine. I'll be honest, I'm not tracking super well. I'm getting distracted, not because it's not confusing, but I'm getting distracted pretty easily, and I'm a little bit bored, as much as I hate to say it. I'm not quite sure if this is a series that I am going to continue with. I definitely decided it is not a series that I need to own. I remember really loving The Library of the Dead when I read it. Unfortunately, I can't remember what I gave it, and at the time I read it, Storygraph wasn't out yet, and I wasn't using Goodreads anymore, so... And I don't think I reviewed it on my Instagram. At least I wasn't able to find a review. So I don't actually know what my rating was or any of my thoughts. I just have a memory of really enjoying it. And I do think I enjoyed it less this time. And I am not enjoying this as much as I had anticipated, which is a bummer. And I don't know if it's the book, if it's me, if it's my reaction to our current everything, because I realized today, well, I think I realized it a couple weeks ago, and then I've just been kind of in denial about it, that I don't think I have a reading slump. I think I have our government and our infrastructure and everything we depend on to help get us through this capitalistic hellscape is crumbling to the ground and willfully being torn apart. And how do I find any kind of escapism from this reality? Because it feels so crushingly horrible. So whatever that is, whatever we want to call that, that's what I'm going through at the moment. And it makes it hard to connect to stuff and to get as invested as I would like to be. And sometimes I can. Sometimes I get a book that I can really fall into, but this is not that. I am very aware that I am reading a book while I am reading this. But I am over halfway through. I do want to find out how the mystery ends. I do want to finish it. Also because if I DNF, then I have to sub in a different book for my bingo board, and I do not want to do that. I do not want to delay this vlog any longer than necessary. So I am going to knuckle under. I'm going to finish this. I will say the narrator, Kimberly, I forgot her last name. I'll put it somewhere. She continues to make this book, this series, everything. Her narration is so good. All right, that's your update. I will come back when I have finished this, which will hopefully be soon. This video is supposed to go out tomorrow, but I do not have any hustle left. And so I am not gonna hustle to get a video out. I will just miss a day, and that's fine. I have actually been debating / threatening / contemplating backing down to only one upload a week, and I think this is my sign that I need to do that for a little while at least. Like when I started YouTube, I was only uploading once a week, and then I switched to 2 because I had so many ideas and so much to say that I couldn't only do one day a week. And I still have a lot of ideas and I have a lot to say, but I don't have the energy for creating that much content right now. So I'm just gonna back off for a little while, and when I get my energy back or get more motivation, then I'll go back to 2 times a week. But for now, I think that's the plan. Also, let me know if you watch my videos on a regular basis or even a semi-regular basis, or if this is the first time you've ever watched a video and you have an opinion. I usually upload on Sundays and Thursdays. Which day is a better upload day, like for watching on your schedule? Because I know everyone and their mom uploads on Sundays, but I also don't know how much time people have for watching content on like in the middle of like the work week or your school week or your responsible life stuff week. So, you know, if you have a preference, let me know. If not, I'm just so happy you're here. So anyways, okay, I'm gonna stop yapping. I'm gonna go read. Not now, but eventually I will read again, and I'll come talk to you when I'm done. Okay, I finished Our Lady of Mysterious Ailments by T.L. Huchu, and I'm giving it a 3.5. I'm so sorry to say. It just took me a while, longer than it should have, to wrap my head around the fact that this series is a murder mystery series, or not even a murder mystery series, but a mystery series, first and foremost. And the fantasy is second to the mystery plot. And I think now that I finally have that in my head, I will probably enjoy book 3 more. At least my hope is. I am going to continue at least to book 3 because I have the audiobook for book 3. It was an ALC for Libro FM whenever it came out, and I have it. Hence my like desire to continue on in the series because I have this audiobook. I want to be able to listen to it. So I needed to read this in order to get to that. There's a lot going on in what is arguably not a very long book, like just over 350 pages, not even 350 pages. We have a lot going on, and this mystery is pretty twisty and turny. There's also a lot of stuff going on with Ropa's family life with her sister and her grandmother. I find her sister really hard to like. I don't remember exactly how old she is. I don't know if we've been told how old she is. I'm guessing she's around 10, but sometimes she acts a lot younger, especially with the way this world is and how young Ropa is and how much responsibility Ropa has and has had for a long time. She had to grow up incredibly fast in order to take care of her family. And her little sister's immaturity and lack of responsibility and the way she just throws these absolute tantrums when she doesn't get her way is just a level of privilege that makes her really hard to like. And Ropa loves her so much. And I'm just like, why are you trying so hard? Why? She is so mean to you. She does not appreciate a single thing you are doing. And that part is realistic because do children really ever appreciate the sacrifices that the people who take care of them make? No. No, that's not their job. That's not their job. But the tantrums, she threw a tantrum in this book where I was just like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And the fact that the grandma does not get after her at all for her behavior, nope, sorry. So, the sister's rough. And I think the plot in the next book, I think, is going to revolve around the sister more based off of how this ended. So there's that. I thought the mystery was good. It was interesting. The financial stuff stressed me out so much. And I don't know. I think I just needed to figure out what this book series is. And now that I do, I think I'm gonna be good. It just took me a while to get there. Unfortunately, sometimes I'm a little slow on the uptake, but I get there eventually. So with that, this episode of Book Series Bingo is finally gonna come to an end. I started filming this so many months ago. It took me so long to film. Hopefully this next episode 3, will not take me nearly as long because I'm never gonna complete this bingo board if it takes me this long to film episodes every time. But I did read the 3 books and was able to get a bingo. Finally! I'm so excited. I already have a plan for episode 3, so that will probably be out sooner since I know what I'm doing. Or was this episode 3? And the next one's episode 4. I guess I'll find out when I go to edit. But whatever episode this is, I hope you enjoyed it. I would love to hear if you have read any of the series that I continued on and what your thoughts are. And tell me about the series that you are in the middle of and you're trying to catch up on. And if you just want to leave an emoji to let me know that you made it to the end. Let's do a skull since there are skulls on the cover of Our Lady of Mysterious Ailments. And otherwise, like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I'll talk to y'all in the next one. Bye!